Welcome to A Kind Life. Today I'm joined by Cass. How you going, Cass?
Hi, Alicia. Good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, very well. Thank you so much for jumping on. So I do like to share how I come across people that come on this podcast. And it was actually thanks to a mutual friend, Mon, also known as Losing My Vegan Virginity. She mentioned to me actually first initially about your clothing range that you started, which supports an animal sanctuary. And I thought this is really cool. So I jumped on and followed you. And then, yeah, we reached out to each other and said, would you come on the podcast? So thank you for being here today.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm a personal trainer, and I'm vegan for the animals. So my main focus is to promote strong vegans, basically. Yeah, so that's kind of what led me to create my Instagram page to find people in the vegan community like yourself, Mons, and all these amazing people. And it's been awesome. Yeah, just so supportive. And yeah, I love it.
Yeah, that's so cool. So where did your fitness journey begin? Was it numbers of years ago? Was it just a bit of a passion for you?
Back, it would have been, I reckon it's probably about 11 years ago now. But I was doing something that was unvegan at the time. So I was a track rider, so exercising racehorses down at Flemington Racetrack. So that was my job. And I absolutely loved it because I grew up with horses. So to be outside working with horses was just incredible. At the time, I was like, feel like I need to get stronger and shed a few kilos. So I started training in the gym with my husband. And at the time, we got a trainer. And yeah, I think a few weeks had gone by training with this trainer. And he was like, oh, you've got to compete. And I was like, I knew nothing about fitness at the time. So I was like, oh, on stage in a bikini, no way. I was very shy back then. So anyway, somehow I happened to agree to it. And yeah, trained for 5 months. I think it was about 5 months, like the lead up to that comp. And I was vegan at the time. So in my 20s, I turned vegan, all for the animals. And then prepped for this comp, jumped on stage in the IFBB figure, and I won. So it was such a surreal feeling and crazy. And that's sort of what led me to get my personal training certificate and become a personal trainer. Yeah.
Well, that's pretty cool that your first ever competition you actually won. Like, did you have any expectations going into it?
No, none at all. Like, it's really weird because when I watched the video of them presenting the winners, I'm just looking around. I'm like, I knew I was winning, and I'm like, is this really happening?
Oh, I love it.
It was really cool. It was a great experience. Yeah.
Wow. And so you mentioned, Tree, to kind of understand, you mentioned that you were doing track work, like obviously with racehorses. So at the time, I think you said you were vegan at that point.
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
was.
Yeah. And so was that, I suppose, yeah, like explain to us about, I think you mentioned before we jumped on, that you had that job because you had this passion for horses. You'd always loved horses. So tell us, yeah, about that part of your journey and then sort of when you decided to stop doing track work.
Yeah. So growing up, I had two horses, one pony. He was my very first love. I was 10 years old when my parents got me him. And I lived and breathed every second with him. So I was an only child growing up. So everything for me was all about the animals. And then I got a thoroughbred a couple of years later. So I was into the horse thing, riding and all that sort of stuff. And the track work, yeah, I just thought at some point that I wanted to be outside working with animals. And then to be honest, I was actually going to be just a stable hand, so go in there, look after them, feed them, clean their stables, all that sort of stuff. And the trainer at the time was like, well, why, he knew that I had a riding background. He's like, well, why don't you become a track rider? And I was like, oh, wow. So like, it was quite, intense. And I was like, okay, I'll try for that. So yeah, I did. And that's how I got into it. And then the reason for stopping at the time was I was leading into that first comp. And I was like, I think I'm ready to give up the riding. And then, got into the personal training. So then just sort of left that there. But obviously being vegan and really into veganism now, it's not something that I would go back to do. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think horse riding is one of those things, I think, that in some space within veganism it can divide people. It's interesting. Like I grew up horse riding as well. Like I've always had horses. And yeah, similar to you, probably similar age around. I think I was maybe 10 or 11 when I started as well. And I stopped riding years ago, given the age of my horse and things, and it was even before I was vegan. But it is interesting. Like I think a lot of it is how we're raised, and I always thought that when I suppose there's that concept of when we're looking after them and riding them, we're caring for them. And so I'd never kind of thought of that, about the part about that sometimes when we are like when we're riding them, there's kind of that like dominance thing and we're making them do what we want them to do. And it's something I'd never really kind of considered until, it was brought up around me when I went vegan, like people were talking about it. I did struggle for a little while with it to kind of, I suppose, that conditioning that I'd had growing up about what we do with horses was sort of something a little bit difficult to process. But like yourself, at some point I thought, I couldn't do that anymore now, being vegan for the animals and understanding more about it.
Yeah 100%.
Yeah. And so what made you go vegan?
So initially, back, as I said, in my 20s, I was on Pink the Singer's website, and then on the links page she had stuff about animal activism. So I was clicking on there and saw all these horrible things, and I actually went vegetarian overnight. So I stopped eating all meat. And then as I was clicking and looking and, a few days and weeks had gone past, going down that rabbit hole, and I was just like, vegetarianism is not enough. I've got to be vegan. And I just gave up everything overnight, honestly. Like for me, it was overnight. There was no weaning off or anything. And I just educated myself. So I was, on all the websites, reading, learning about all the nutrition, about the certain supplements and all that sort of stuff. So for me, everything, although now I've actually done a vegan nutrition course, so I'm a qualified vegan nutritionist, but a lot of my knowledge did come from, just learning myself. Yeah.
And I guess because you're in that stage, of looking for fitness goals, like you had certain fitness goals and wanted to compete, there was probably a big portion of it that you really had to kind of understand the nutrition side of it to be able to feed it into your fitness like career.
Yeah, because there's always that thing about protein. Where do you get protein? I don't even know how that's still a thing these days. Like, so it's amazing. Like you can do anything, and you can veganize anything. You really can.
And how did you go? You said that, you started with this trainer who then persuaded you to compete. So was he supportive of you being vegan?
From memory, he was fine, but then obviously there's that whole side of things of, protein and leaning down, like you need to, be eating a certain way and reducing your calories and carbs and all that sort of stuff. So I think it was about 3 weeks out from the comp, I started eating eggs again. Crazy. And then I went back to eating everything, all animal products. So I don't know what it was. I wish I could pinpoint what it was that changed in my mind, because it's like I lost my ethical mind, and then for a few years I was eating everything. And then about 3-4 or so years ago, it must have been, again, I stopped eating all meats, so basically vegetarian. And then a bit of time had passed, and I was like, hang on, I'm vegan. Like, mine was like, what am I doing? How am I living? What am I consuming? You know? So yeah, I just stopped everything again. All animal products. And as I said, like, I don't miss anything. I don't want anything to resemble or taste anything about animal products. So yeah, and I haven't looked back, obviously, and I'm vegan for life, and nothing will ever change that again.
Yeah. And I guess, you know, like around that part of your story, like is that something that you find difficult to, yeah, to talk to people about or to explain? Like, is there, I'm just really intrigued to understand because, you know, it's hard if it's not something we've experienced ourselves. So, you know, is it something that was quite difficult to navigate then like then explaining to people that, you know, you've gone from being vegan to non-vegan back to vegan again?
Yeah, it's because I'm very open and honest. Like, I would never promote anything on my Instagram or in life that's not real, you know. So obviously sharing my comp photos from my third comp, I wasn't vegan, so I had to make sure that I wasn't promoting, you know, that I was vegan. Whereas some people thought that, but then I had to sort of let them know because I'm obviously promoting veganism on my page. But yeah, I do tell that part of the story, and everyone's lovely. Like, everyone's just like, yeah, but you know, it happened, and you know, you're back there now, and so everyone's so lovely and supportive, and everyone has their own journey. Yeah, it's fine, but yeah, I'm very open and honest about it. Yeah.
Yeah. And do you remember what changed in your mind? What made you think about starting to avoid animal products again for the second time?
Yeah, just the animals, just the animals. I just started getting that strong thought for the animals again. I don't remember, because actually at the time I wasn't on Instagram, so I've only had my Instagram for 2 years now. And we went off Instagram for, gosh, it must have been about, yeah, 5 years. So we did the whole no social media life for some time, which was pretty cool. But then the reason, as I said, I started it was to find a vegan community, because I really wanted to promote the animals the way that I do, in a beautiful way, and how amazing they are. So yeah.
Do you find in your like in your business in coaching, you know, do you find that you're mostly coaching vegan clients, or is there a bit of a mix there?
Well, that's the thing. So in person, none of my clients are vegan. But again, that's why I started the Instagram. And actually, on that note, I have a vegan client at the moment. She's in the UK. Her name is Jess, and she's been working with me for quite a few months now. And yeah, she's been achieving some amazing results. But yeah, so the whole vegan fitness, I think it's easier to find online as opposed to in person. But I do have a few like vegetarian or sort of plant-based clients, or even clients that are interested in knowing more about plant-based diet. They're not even vegetarian, you know, and they incorporate like meat-free Mondays, that sort of thing. So there's that positive side where, you know, you can be, you know, getting through to people that, you know, it's good to eat plants.
Yeah. And do you find, you know, because you do often post quite a lot on your social media around, you know, animals, because you're also a sanctuary volunteer. So do you find that people, you know, that gets people interested in asking questions about, you know, I suppose getting to understand animals more than they may have otherwise?
Yes, 100%. I've I've had quite a few friends ask me a few questions, you know, about more plant-based lifestyle, even outside of just diet, like someone just realizing, the horrors in fashion and makeup and all of that sort of stuff. So yes, I definitely have planted seeds in a few people. And they've told me, like, what you've posted with your animals, it's really made me think twice about things. And just to be more conscious of, what they're doing in everyday life, or just even what they're consuming. And one of them's my mum. She just loves all of the animal stuff that I post. And yeah, she's not vegan, but she definitely has reduced a lot of things regarding animal products in her life. So yeah, it's good to just sort of wake people up in a nice way.
Yeah. And tell us about how you started getting involved in helping at Death Row Unchained.
Yeah, so my husband and I, we lived in Dubai for 5 years. We're originally from Melbourne. And as I said, when I got my Instagram, I started seeing all these pages, and then Death Row was one of them that happened to pop up. So I was following them for a while, loving all their stuff. And then we knew that we were coming back to Australia, and we'd be based in Brisbane. So I knew that this sanctuary was in Brisbane, and I was like, oh my God, I need to go here. As soon as we arrive, I'm going to Death Row Unchained. So, and because in Dubai, there's not much to do with animals, there's not like here where we've got all the farm animals and stuff. So, went there on a tour and absolutely loved it. And then I was like, yeah, how can I be here every week, So jumped online and applied for the volunteer position. And then, someone contacted me and said, we've got availability on the pig team. And I didn't really have any idea of any teams or anything. And I'm like, yep, great. So I went down there, and it's almost been a year, actually. Almost been a year at the end of this year that I will have been there. And I just go every Friday. That was my sort of set time, every Friday morning. And it's incredible. It's an incredible place. Kate, who runs it, she's amazing, the work that's involved and what she does. And then all the volunteers. It's an incredible team. It really is, yeah.
And so what sort of things do you do with the pigs?
Yeah, Coles supermarket donate, I think it's, from memory, I think it's about 300 kilos of produce or something weekly to Death Row, which is unreal, because we get these big wheelie bins full of, bread and lettuce and carrots and all sorts of stuff. So on a Friday, I arrive there, take them out their produce, and they just love it. I'm sure you've seen them on my story, getting into food. And then from there, just check all the waters, the wallows, make sure, they're full, clean, pick up the poos and make sure they're all okay, so that they've all got up to eat, check them, make sure they've got no cuts or anything like that. And that's it, yeah.
Do you get to give them lots of, I know that pigs love belly rubs, so do you get to provide belly rubs for them?
Yeah, always like going around patting them, and I have a couple of favorites. And yeah, they're unreal. They're really unreal. Like, yeah.
I guess, like, a lot of people who may not have had the opportunity to get up close to pigs, I guess, explain to people about some of their characteristics and things that you've learned since you've been there.
Yeah. They're all different. Some one in particular, Peaches, her name is, she's so cute, so sweet, and she's just very quiet, loves her little pats and rubs, loves a bit of love. And then there's a few others that might be a bit more in your face, like I'll be in there with my camera and they're coming up and they're honking away into the camera, and you're like, oh. And then there's a couple you're like, oh, I don't know about you, but yeah, they've all got their own characters, just like us, and they all want love. They've all got, their little friends. You'll see them sleeping, head to bum, and They love the sun in the morning, yeah, they're amazing.
And so how many animals does Death Row Unchained have, do you know roughly?
Oh, wow. I couldn't tell you that one. There's a lot.
Yeah.
There's a lot. There's obviously the pigs, goats, sheep, cows, geese, ducks, horses, dogs. It all started actually through dog rescue. So rescuing dogs from the kill list in the pounds and stuff. And then she expanded to such a massive thing of all the farm animals. So yeah, there's a lot.
Yeah, wow. And tell us about, you've recently designed clothing, the t-shirt that you're wearing there today.
Yeah.
So tell us about how you came up with this idea, because that actually supports the sanctuary, doesn't it?
To be honest, I'd been thinking about something. It had been a couple of years. I was in Dubai when I was thinking about it. So I was like, I just want to have something, like design some sort of a vegan fitness brand or design or something. So I'd finally reached out to my tattooist. Maybe he could, draw something up. Then he put me on to a graphics designer. So that was awesome. And then she drew it up for me. And I had in mind that I wanted vegan animals, and then all like doing something in the gym with plant power. And that's how it came about. Yeah.
So cool. And so it's you've got the design, like I think on hoodies, singlets, t-shirts, is that right?
Yeah, I'll show you. I've got a couple here. So that's the racer singlet. I've got the hoodie, and then I also just wanted to incorporate
so cool.
Like a few different colors and all that sort of thing. So yeah.
Yeah. And how long ago, I think, was that a few months ago it started?
Yeah, it's been a couple of months. And then obviously I wanted to have it where I'm donating part of the profits to Death Row. So that was, my main thing. And yeah, so that's been cool. I'm still waiting actually to meet with Kate at the sanctuary to give her what I got from my initial order, which was my pre-order thing, because I want to do a video of that just to show everyone. And then I've also created a website finally, and then also my Instagram shop. So once I get everything up and running, I'll be able to sort of have it on there where people can just go on and purchase rather than doing pre-order, because that's a better way.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I think, is it $5 per item that goes to the sanctuary?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's so cool that you came up with this idea and you wanted to be able to do something yourself. Not only, it's great that you volunteer there, but also having something outside of that that helps generate a little bit of income for them.
Yeah, definitely. That was I was really happy with that. Just something to sort of, give extra. And yeah.
And is there anything else that you're involved in like the animal rights or vegan space? I'm not sure if there's much that happens up in Brisbane, but is there any other events or anything you're involved in?
I did do Farm Animal Sanctuary. They're up in Dayborough. They have a walk for the animals, and I think they do it yearly. So I went to that one. That was probably closer to the start of the year, and that was amazing. I actually didn't think it was going to be as intense as it was, because we actually walked around with the footage, like on posters and stuff, and we walked through the city of Brisbane, and then we stopped at Queen Street Mall area, and it was actually amazing. We had really good feedback from it. Like, people, as we were walking, were saying, good on you, great work, keep doing what you're doing. And it was like, oh wow, like, because normally you would be like, oh, what sort of negative feedback are we going to get here? Yeah, so that was awesome. but also Anonymous for the Voiceless. So they go into Queen Street Mall, so stand there, you know, with their mask and stuff. So yeah, that's something that I would love to do. That's yeah, that's pretty intense, that one.
Yeah, I was going to ask, is that something you do or you're involved in, but it might be something you want to do at some point?
Yeah, maybe in the future. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, awesome. And what are your plans for the future? Is there anything else you're working on? Like, are you looking to compete again or expand your business, or is there anything else that you'd like to share?
No, I haven't thought about competing, but just really getting into that vegan fitness market, you know, really obviously promoting that and getting more clients that are vegan, working with more vegans. Yeah, just to help them get strong and fit and healthy and learn that we don't need animal products, you know.
Yeah, that's awesome. And do you happen to have a favorite quote that you would like to share?
I always, it's funny, when I started PT, we always have like a quote on our PT board, and I always chose shoot for the moon, even if you miss, you'll land amongst the stars. So that's always just one that sort of stuck with me, you know. So yeah, that's my quote.
Yeah, I love that. No, that's really good. Well, so if people want to get in touch, if they want to follow your journey or look at purchasing a t-shirt or a hoodie, what's the best way for them to do that?
Yeah. So just my Instagram is my main form of contact, I guess. So Vegan Love by Cass. I have, as I said, created a website which is all new. I will be promoting that at some point, and then yeah, the Instagram shop, which is where I'll have my merchandise as well. So yeah, just mainly those contact points.
Cool. Yeah, I'll link them all in the show notes so that people can jump across and yeah, have a look at your page and hopefully, yeah, buy some t-shirts and support Death Row Unchained.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you so much.
No worries. Thank you so much, Cass. It was lovely to chat and thank you again.
Thanks, Alicia. Thank you. Bye.